what the hell is Atlas doing? So, the other night, a certain thing got announced regarding Persona, and I will be talking about it. That thing, of course, being Persona 5 X. And, boy, oh boy, there's a lot to talk about when it comes to this. So, my immediate takeaway from this when I first saw it was, this looks really good visually. Straight up, it looks better than Persona 5 Royal. And Persona 5 Royal is a gorgeous game. Honestly, if you removed the Persona 5 flair in some of the text boxes and stuff, you could probably tell me that this was Persona 6 and I'd believe you. However, don't get your hopes up. This is a portion of the article IGN wrote on the upcoming game, which essentially says that it's a free-to-play mobile game with in-app purchases, and will also only be releasing in China. So essentially, we're getting a Persona 5 themed gacha game, which sucks. Again, genuinely, this game looks really good visually, and I have all the love for the Persona series. Persona 5 is literally my favorite game of all time. But it's kind of hard to have any excitement for something that is basically immediately just saying out the gate, one, you're not even going to be able to play it. And there's a lot of things I could critique about this. Like, for example, why attach it to specifically Persona 5 other than it just being the most popular game in the series? If you're going to do something like this, and if it does end up being a gacha game, why not just make it a Persona or Mega 10 one? Or just call it a Persona and make it Mega 10, because then you can use characters from things like Persona 3 and 4. And obviously there's design nitpicks. I could say like, oh well, the Velvet Room's attendant's eyes aren't yellow, which is different than every other one in the history of the franchise, but that's so dumb, and does it really matter? One of my biggest problems at its core is, could we have not just been developing a Persona 6? Which in all likelihood would probably end up making more money? Because yes, it's a free to start game, which means you'll probably get a decent amount of money from it. Ignoring the fact that it's only releasing in China for some reason. Which, I'm going to get into that in a moment. But I think a good example of one of the reasons why this is not a good thing is Fire Emblem Heroes. And I can get into talk about like a lot of things, but Heroes negatively impacted the rest of the series. And I do mean the rest of the series. It has caused the games to focus a lot more on what has made Heroes work and be successful. You know, instead of focusing on having their own identities and being their own things. Let's remember, the newest Fire Emblem game literally has a summoning system. And if you ask me personally, games like these only help to taint the reputation of the series it was originally a part of. Also, before we continue, please consider liking and subscribing. It really helps the channel out a lot. And now is the part where I go back to the whole only releasing in China thing. Because would a game like this do well in the slightest in China? Because the Persona series is very much tied to its Japanese roots. And I'm not super familiar with China and all that, but I feel like they probably don't care, considering also how much they hate video games, like government-wise, to begin with. We are talking about the same company that literally banned Nintendo at one point. And the biggest demographics for Persona are always going to be North America with the United States and Japan. These games are very Japanese in nature. And that is something that is popular in those two regions. Specifically not freaking China. And there genuinely are things I like about these trailers. I think there's some quality of life stuff that's neat, like the little bar in the top left that indicates turn order, because it's kind of awkward and unpredictable in Persona games. That's something I'd like to see in the actual games proper. But, I don't think this necessarily needs it. In an ideal world, this is cleaned up to be a small $40-ish release on sites like Steam, but it won't be. We all know it. It sucks, because genuinely, I really wish they would just announce something like Persona 6, or a Strikers 2, or a new proper $80 game to release on Steam and PlayStation, instead of a Chinese-only mobile game. For some reason. I mean, the reason's money, but it still seems kind of questionable in that regard. And while this video may not sound like it, this does genuinely come from a place of love for the Persona series. Persona 5 is literally my favorite game of all time. I adore Strikers, I adore Persona 4, and while I have a lot of problems with Persona 3, I still quite like it. I honestly wonder if this video is more negative or my old Persona 3 review. I want to be optimistic. I want to say this is going to be really good, because visually it looks amazing. But why couldn't this just be a spin-off released on major platforms? Who knows? Hopefully the game releases and is made in a way that is good and not super anti-consumer and full of predatory microtransactions and predatory business tactics, because I really hope Atlas is better than that. But it's hard to say. This is also the same company that for their series' 25th anniversary decided to announce socks twice. Either way, what are your guys' thoughts? Do you think it will be good? Do you think it will end up releasing outside of China? Hell, do you think it will get canned? Again! Either way, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!